What we have here is information. We're going to work on the equation of a circle. And here we're just showing a general circle in the x and y axis at a point of 6, 4. And we're going to say, what can we figure out about this? What do we know about this? The general equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Now, that seems complicated, but this is very similar to the distance formula and very similar to the Pythagorean theorem in that there are three parts that are squared and set against each other in an equation. The hk, even though that seems fancy, is just the center point of a circle, the x and y center point of a circle. And they just use hk because it's easier than doing another repetition of x and y. So in this, you would just create the equation by planning in for the h, the 6 in 6, 4, and then planning in for the k, the 4 in 6, 4. So that it reads x minus 6 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals r squared. Now for the r, we're just taking the distance from the center point to the circle. And the center point is 4 away from the circle. And then you just square that. So that at the bottom, you get this equation that represents just uniquely this one circle only. X minus 6 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 16. Now, you say, well, what does that mean? This means that for any x or for any y that you know, you can figure out the other one. So if you knew x, you can put the x information in there. It would then be that information minus 6 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 16. And it'll tell you what the y is. Just go through the algebraic operations and it'll give you the result. And that works backwards. If you knew just the y, you would put in the information for the y and it'll come out with telling you, solving for x, the information for the x. In this one, you could even figure out the x-intercept because this circle does touch at the 0 point of the x-intercept, and you could use that to find what that intercept is, even though you can see it pretty easy on this. We're going to do another one. This is another circle drawn. HK, the center point, is 5, 7. We're just going to put in all the parts of the equation. You can see the 5 goes in for the H, the 7 goes in for the K. It's written at the top as 16 because 4 squared is 16, and the HK is 4 away from the circle. We're going to work all this out because we also know that we have a point at 9, 7. X is 9 and y is 7 on the circle. And then we put in the 9 so that it's 9 minus 5 squared plus y minus 7 squared equals 4 squared, which is 16. Now we can solve for the y. When we put in that 9 is in for the x, we're going to solve for y. And this is just a way to check to make sure that your equation, the equation of your circle, is correct. So going through all the algebra, once the 9 is put in there and it's all worked out, we're given a result of y equals 7. So it's, like I said before, it's just putting in one number for the x and coming out with another number for the y. If the numbers don't work, or if they're negative, or you get something unusual, it's because the numbers don't lie on the circle anywhere. So now we're going to do the same thing working backwards, but instead of putting information in for the x, we're going to put the 7 in for the y, so that down there towards the bottom, it's x minus 5 squared plus 7 minus 7 squared. So we took the 7 in 9, 7 and put it in for where the y is, so that it's 7 minus 7 squared equals 4 squared, which is 16. And working this all out, even before you work it out, you should know that you're checking to see if this is going to result in a 9, if the x will turn out to be 9. And when you do all the math, you can see all the steps of the math. If you want to pause and work through it, it'll come out at the end to also give you the result of Well, not also, but it will give you the result of 9. So either way, you can work the 9 in the x leads to the 7 in the y, or the 7 as a y leads to the 9 as an x. And that is the whole set of the point of the equation. You say, well, let's make our own. Let's just not go with something that's already set up. Let's just draw a circle. And then we'll just make an x and y axis. So we'll make an x and y coordinate plane. And then we'll just try to fit those two things together. We'll make up all the numbers on our own, and then we'll see, does it really work? So I just drew any generic circle, and I had this x and y coordinate plane already set up. And I'm just going to put them together and break down all the parts and see if this equation works no matter how we do it. And we're going to see here that it's always going to work out. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't lie on the circle. So here we have, just by the way I put up the x and y coordinate, a center of HK, which is 4, 4. And at one point on the line of the circle is 7, 4. So here again we're looking at the same equation, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Just take the numbers and we're working down the page on the right there. The 4 and the 4 go in where the h and the k are. So that you get x minus 4 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 3 squared. And the 3 again comes from that being the distance from the 2 points. The one point is at 4, 4 and the other point is at 7, 4. That gives you the 3 squared being a 9. Now we're just going to take from the 7, 4 point and put in the 7 for the x and then work out the math all the way to the bottom. And when you worked out that math all the way to the bottom, you're going to get the resulting y equals 4. So here you might say, well, what about something that doesn't look so easy to see? What if we took that x is 2 and we put a 2 in to the equation? We put a 2 in where the x is, so that it's 2 minus 4 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 3 squared, which is 9. And you work out all the math, and you're going to find that you're going to have two answers, because as you go upward from the 2 point where the x is 2, it intersects at two parts of the circle. And even the answer, if you're not familiar with it, looks odd, because at the bottom there you can see that it says y equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 5. And the first time you see that, you go, I don't get it. Well, it's just saying that there's a central point of 4, and that the answer is really a little bit higher than that and a little bit lower than that. So that the purple there shows you that central point of 4, and then it's plus or minus the square root of 5, and the square root of 5 is about 2.2. So it's not that 4 isn't the answer at all. It's 4, and then you're going to go a little higher or a little lower, and that's your answer. But you don't usually want to reduce or approximate the square root of 5. This is the answer, y equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 5. But just to explain it a little better so you can see it, the square root of 5 is about 2.2. So if we have 4 plus or minus about 2.2, that's where the actual 2 points lie on the circle. So y equals about 6.2 or about 1.8. But you don't want to leave your answer in this form. You don't want to leave it as y equals about 6.2 or about 1.8. You want to leave it as, like I said before, y equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 5.